everyone, I'm the Limitless Librarian and welcome to another book haul. This one's been a long time coming. I've got Freya behind the camera again, if you may remember from the maths book showcase video, helping me to film this one because we've got a big box here in the other room which would have been a pain to get up to the table. So most of these we've got a lot of science and maths books in this one, plus a bit of fiction, but mostly science and maths. Because when I went to the secondhand bookshop, they took me to the super secret area where they keep all the unshelved books, the ones they haven't got on display yet. So that was exciting. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into the book haul. The first one we have is Christian Mythology by George Every. This is a book going into big biblical stuff because I'm interested in mythology and folklore and things, and it looks like it's got lots of pictures in it as well. Whoops. So yeah, it looks like it's got lots of pictures in it, so that will hopefully be interesting. The next one we have is Peter Pan and Wendy by J.M. Barrie. This is a centennial edition and it's illustrated. I've seen the Peter Pan movie, but I never read the book, and if you watch my recommendations for Tavros video, you will remember I mentioned the sequel. So I have the sequel as an audiobook, but I never read the original book, so I found this and I picked it up. Next we have The Snow Queen by Hans Christian Andersen. This is another illustrated edition. Again, I saw the movie of this too, but I've never read the book, so I was keen to read that. Next we have Out of Control, The New Biology of Machines by Kevin Kelly, which I think is comparing machines and biology that inspired them, which sounds very interesting. Next we have The Little Book of String Theory by Stephen S. Gubser, which is about string theory and quantum things, which I don't know much about. I have read one book on quantum physics called 6 Impossible Things, and that was good, although I read that a while ago. So next we have The Twilight Companion, The Unauthorized Guide to the Series by Lois H. Gresh. I read Twilight, and this month I read New Moon as well, and I've also read Life and Death, which is the gender bent Twilight. So hopefully this will give some interesting sort of perspectives on the series. The next one is The Red Pony by John Steinbeck. This is a short little kids book about a pony because I like horses and horse stories. The next one is Souls in the Great Machine by Sean McMullen. This one is sort of futuristic steampunk, so that sounds right up my alley. Now we have Pythagoras' Trousers, God, Physics and the Gender Wars by Margaret Wertheim. I'm guessing that's how you pronounce it. So I think this is about religion and science and the intersection there. The cultural and social history of physics from ancient Greece to our own time, following the religious inspiration in this science. So there you go. This one is a really, really old book. I looked in it. This one is Copernicus and His World by someone Keston. And this one, I'm guessing, is a former university book. I looked at it the other day, and this thing was literally published like the year after World War II ended, like 1946. So it's a really old book, probably one of the oldest books I own. It has that musty old book smell, but hopefully that'll be interesting because Copernicus definitely did lots of maths sort of things. Next we have the first of a few Dr. Karl books, Science is Golden by Dr. Karl Krashelnicki. He's like a popular science presenter person. I've got a few of his books in this haul. Next is Genius, a photobiography of Albert Einstein by Marfe Ferguson Delano. So probably exactly what it says on the tin, a book about Einstein, and it's got lots of photos in it. Next we have another Dr. Karl one. It ain't necessarily so bro. I don't know. I think some of them have themes, some of the Dr. Karl books. I don't know. Next one is Rise of the Mythics Golden Unicorn by Anne Doe. This is a kid's book inspired by Greek mythology. I think these kids have like powers tied to different creatures. Because I like Greek mythology, so I picked that up. Next one is The Cellamillion by A.R.R. Roberts. This is like a parody of Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. This month I read The Da Vinci Code, which is his parody of the Da Vinci Code. So I saw this and picked this one up. This next one is Mathematical Magic Show by Martin Gardner. I think this is like sort of like a kid's math, but it has like maths tricks and shortcuts and stuff in it. And this is Once Upon a Slime by Andy Griffiths. This is a book he wrote about writing, like how to write stories or how he writes stories. So that will also be an interesting one. Next we have Horrible Histories, Savage Stone Age by Terry Deary. So Horrible Histories are like fun, quirky history books for kids. This one's about the Stone Age, so cavemen and stuff. This one is A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking. So I'm guessing going into people's theories about time and how it works. If not, another Dr. Karl book, Flying Lasers, Robofish and Cities of Slime, and more brain-bending science moments. This one is Great Feuds in Science by Hal Hellman. So it's about scientists having rivalries and things. I know it covers Newton and Leibniz, and I think other mathematicians in here as well. No, I thought there were more mathematicians in here, but it will still be interesting regardless. Next one we have is The Devil's Numbers by B.M. Haig. This is a fiction one. It sounds like a thriller. I think it involves some numbers. I'm guessing it does. I hope it does. A bit misleading otherwise. Next is a book about Robert Oppenheimer by Michael Rosé. And yes, I saw the movie last year and it was awesome. So I saw this and I picked it up so I could learn more about him. I also read a really good short story about him in a book called The Need for Better Regulation of Outer Space by, what was her name, Susan Goldman or something like that. That was a really good short story, and I read that before the movie actually. So hopefully this will be an interesting read. It's another old book with that old book smell. I've got another one in that series somewhere in this haul. And we have Proof of Heaven, a neurosurgeon's journey into the afterlife by Ibn Alexander. So this is about a doctor's experiences with patients like almost dying and claiming to have gone to heaven and then come back to life and describing what they saw. I did a philosophy topic at uni a couple of years ago, and that we talked about that in there. So next we have Enrico Fermi by Pierre de Latil. So he was a mathematician. You may have heard of Fermi problems, which are used to estimate large quantities, getting a ballpark estimate. So this is another one of those biography ones. I think he did physics stuff as well, but I don't really know much about him. Next we have Matrix by Lauren Gruff, which is not a maths book. That's inspired by what the title might tell you. But it sounded interesting to me. It sounds like a historical feminist sort of story. Next we have Engines of Logic, Mathematicians and the Origin of the Computer. So I'm guessing the history of the computer through the lens of mathematics. Sounds lovely. Have A Little Knowledge, a world of ideas from Archimedes to Einstein, clearly explained. So, and this is by Michael McCrone. So I'm guessing going through different science and maths ideas. Archimedes is my favourite famous mathematician, so his name on the cover was enough to sell me on this book. So we have Statistics for the Utterly Confused by Lloyd Jasing. So a book about statistics, and though I'm hopefully not utterly confused, I hope not after doing however many statistics subjects in uni, this will hopefully be a good book, a useful book, maybe a handy reference to have at times. Next we have Dracula in London. This is a collection of stories by a few different people, and so this covers the period in the story of Dracula where he travels to London, and so I guess this is interpretations of what he did there, filling in the gaps of the actual book. So that will be interesting because I read that last year. I did Dracula Daily, which is like an email newsletter that emails you the story in real time. I'll pop a link to that in the description. Next we have About the Size of It, the Common Sense Approach to Measuring Things by Warwick Cairns. So this is a guessing about measurement and maybe how units of measurement came to be, because there are definitely some wacky units out there. Next is The Judge's List by John Grisham. This is a courtroom thriller sort of thing. Next we have A Spoonful of Murder by J.M. Hall, which it sounds very much like the Thursday Murder Club. I mean, I think the back even says they literally meet up on Thursday to talk about murders, which is the premise of the Thursday Murder Club, and I love that series, so we'll see how close it is and if it's anywhere near as good. Next we have The Cockroach by Ian McEwan, which is a retelling of Kafka's Metamorphosis, which I haven't read yet. It's on my TBR, but that definitely sounds interesting, and I want to read it, and I want to read this too. And I read a book by Ian McEwan last year, Machines Like Me, and that was one of my favourite books of the year, so hopefully I will enjoy this book by him too. Next we have The Angel's Pride by Stephen Lindsay. I think this is a fantasy Abrahamic mythology thing where the angels rule, not God, and there's Lucifer involved. So I think you know, angels and fallen angels and all that sort of thing, duking it out. That sounds interesting. We have another Dr. Carl book. Never mind the bullocks. Here's the science. Next one is The Electric Hotel by Dominic Smith. This one I think is another historical sort of thing about like the history of film, I think. Or involving it. Have another Dr. Carl one, Bum Breath, Botox and Bubbles and Other Fully Sick Science Moments. So I'm guessing this has a theme on like gross stuff, gross science. Next one is The Maid by Nita Prose. So I think this is like a murder mystery one that takes place in like a fancy house, I think. Next we have Lawyer X by Anthony Dowsley. This is like a real story. I don't know much about it, but it was a real thing that came to light a few years ago. I remember seeing stuff about that on the news, so hopefully that'll be interesting to read. Next we have The Short Second Life of Bree Tanner by Stephanie Meyer. This is a Twilight novella. I'm not sure where in the series it takes place, so I'll figure that out. So you have Quantum Einstein, Bohr and the Great Debate About the Nature of Reality by Manjit Kumar. So I'm guessing about quantum physics. I have The Midnight Gang by David Walliams. I actually went to a show David Walliams presented the other day, and that was really awesome. So I'm not sure what this particular one is about, but I'm sure it'll be great regardless. And it did remind me of The Midnight Crew from Homestuck, and there is a song called The Midnight Crew, which must have inspired the Homestuck version. So that sounded interesting to me because of that. Next one is The Paris Library by Janet Skeslin Charles. I think this is in World War II, a library in Paris. Who could have guessed? So yeah, Nazi-occupied Paris. That will sound like a good book because I like. Oh dear. So, yeah, I like that setting. Setting. Oops, the microphone. The microphone fell off.
Oh,
there we go. Got it. It's running away. Where's the magnet thing? There we go.
I suppose if you're going to get smacked by something, a pile of books isn't a bad thing.
No, it is not. I was in a Discord call once with someone and there was a big crash. There was books falling everywhere. I was like, what was that? Pikachu, if you're watching this, yeah, this happened. We have Booker launch the 3rd.
Oh no, the fallen children back there.
I know. Make the video a bit more interesting at least.
Yeah. Saved them all.
Yep.
Well done.
See, this is why we didn't film this on the table.
Yeah, they would have had further to fall.
If I think this is literally the last book in the box. There's literally one left. That is Vital Science by Dr. Carl. I think this one is like a medical themed one. And it's lovely bright green. It's one of the greenest books I own. So there we go. That was all the books. Thank you for watching. If you like that, please like and subscribe to the channel for more book hauls and book content. And yeah, I hope if there are any science fans watching, hopefully you got some good recommendations from this video. And as always, do lots of maths, read lots of books, and I'm sure you'll have an epic day.